foster daughter in line.
That's good.
Are we?
We're just pushing a little bit, but that's okay.
All right. Ms. Beck says it's okay, so it's
okay.
We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Somebody comes in later.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the October 22nd meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the Shawnee County Commission. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning.
Good morning.
And back from his travels to Charlotte and all points east, Commissioner Archer.
Well, good morning, and I might point out that I came back from Tennessee with a head cold, so I may not be my usual perky self.
We will persevere.
But good morning.
Madam Clerk, our first item.
Item 1, proclamations, presentations. Number 1, check presentation by Matt Douglas, President of Kona, regarding concession vending services. John Knight, Parks and Recreation.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Alliker, Shawnee County Parks and Rec. Just kind of give you a quick brief of what the summer was like. It was hotter than the winning lottery tickets that we have still going around. We have done this for a couple of years now, and Kona has been awesome. We've actually increased revenue from their participation at all the facilities this year. So I'm going to bring it over to Matt, and he can do the presentation. Also, he would like to have a picture with you guys of the big lottery ticket thing.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Last summer, 2017 summer, was our first year doing this, and it was a learning curve for us, and I'm sure Dave. And then this year, it went phenomenal all across the board. We kind of got our feet, a good base under us, and figured out the system and how to make a successful placement and how to get kids and families interacted to bring them out to the parks and pools here in Topeka. I want to commend Dave on his efforts that they do out at pools. He's done a phenomenal job accommodating us and making our lives easy out there. So as Dave did mention, we did see a big increase in sales for us compared to the first year. A lot of that might have been the weather. Also, I think a lot of it was, hey, people know Kona Ice is out here and they're getting more familiar with us in the marketplace. And so our give back check this year, do you remember what it was last year?
$5,900.
Yeah, $5,900. This year we actually got up to $7,500 back to the Shawnee Parks and Rec Aquatic Center. So
very good.
Thank you for having us out, and we're excited for next year as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Awesome.
is that okay?
Absolutely.
Sorry, not feeling well. I'm tall, so I can get the back. That help? Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.
Are you keeping it?
Yeah, no, I actually give you guys pictures.
No, I know. Give you a little publicity right there for a while.
Madam Clerk, our second item.
Item 2, presentation on the OASIS system, the online application system. Angela Lewis, Human Resources, and Shane Clemens, Information Technology.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. Thanks to our IT partners, we're ready to demonstrate OASIS, which is our online application system. I remember when I started, one of the first things that I heard was, what are we going to do about how we have people apply? it's come to fruition. We're ready to show you what we're going to do. I'm going to have Mike Augustine come up and run you through the OASIS system, but we'd like to thank Pat, Asim, Andrew, and everyone in IT who worked on this project.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Augustine with Shawnee County Human Resources. I'm here this morning to talk about OASIS, the county's new job application system. I'm going to give a brief overview of the system, tell why OASIS came about, and show off some of the key features of the system. OASIS is an interesting name. It came from our IT department, standing simply for Online Applicant System. So, first off, what is an applicant system? It's the software on which the county jobs webpage that we use to post new openings. Job seekers use the software to apply for open positions within Shawnee County. There are no paper applications any longer. Current employees use the system to view and apply for internal openings. And then finally, Human Resources uses these tools to manage, process, and archive job applications. But most importantly, and it's important to put this out there, that it's the first impression of what the public sees when they're considering Shawnee County as an employer. So this is an example of our old applicant system. It was housed under One Solution, called One Solution Applicant Online. One Solution Applicant Online first debuted in 2007, so about 12 years ago. As we know in the tech world, last year's technology is already old. Well, about 12 years ago technology, that's pretty much a dinosaur. So with the old system, it took over 13 screens to apply. Once applications were submitted by job seekers, they could not be modified. So if a missing if a missing qualification for an applicant was not on the application, that application could be rejected on a perfectly viable applicant maybe missing a driver's license. So then we'd have to go through the process of having that applicant reapply just simply to modify that one thing. Applicants would find the system was difficult to use, hard to navigate, and unfortunately would leave applicants unsure of whether or not their application was submitted to Human Resources. Again, it's 12 years old. It wasn't designed for modern browsers, and it wasn't designed to be mobile friendly. So, in short, the One Solution system made it difficult for our citizens to apply for jobs with Shawnee County. So, we needed to change, but how? So, there were certain goals that IT laid down when they developed OASIS. So, number one was to update the website visuals. Number two, to streamline the application process for job seekers. To create a more usable mobile experience for mobile users. To eliminate manual processes being conducted by Shawnee County Human Resources. Increase the data retention and create a future ability to use anywhere within the county network. So, this is OASIS. At first glance, first look, it looks modern, it looks clean, and very more easily navigatable. And there's more to OASIS than meets the eye. What you see here is a front page of OASIS. This is what job seekers first see when they come to the county website. Okay? It displays all of the county openings and lists the wage off to the side. By clicking on each, the applicant is able to expand and then see the minimum qualifications that they have for the job, and they can also, by clicking on the View Full Position Description, get all the details downloaded to their system or computer. They're given two options, one in green, Create Account and Apply, or in blue, Log in and Apply. So, once logged in, the applicant sees the applicant dashboard. It gives the job seeker more control over their applications. The old system did not have anything like this at all. Job seekers can quickly view their job listings, view their own applications, apply for multiple openings very quickly. They can view the status of their applications and open multiple applications at the same time. If you see in the middle, it says incomplete applications. As an example, a job seeker can have multiple applications going at the same time. The top shows any updates requested by Human Resources to eliminate any applications from being considered. The second section there shows any incomplete. Incomplete meaning that the applicant is working on those. Maybe they're tailoring their resume for those specifically, but they have them open and will complete at a later date. Finally, you'll see pending applications. Those are applications that have been submitted to Human Resources and passed on to other departments. And then finally, finalized applications. If the applicant is hired, their application will show there. And then also, if the application is rejected for whatever reason, it'll show there. So, and at any stage in this process, the applicant knows exactly where their application lies. One other thing to point out on the application dashboard, there's a special function for existing Shawnee County employees called employee number. By linking the employee number to the existing employee account, internal applicants are able to see internal job postings, those job postings in the county that are specific to the department that they work in or specific to Shawnee County employees only. So, OASIS provides a streamlined application process. There's only 6 screens from start to finish for a brand new user to apply for a county job. If you're registered, it's as few as 2 clicks and a verification to apply for a new job. Anecdotally, what I see as a recruiter is multiple job applications coming from a single applicant within minutes. So people are seeing this, they're easily applying to jobs and applying for multiple jobs at that. OASIS is mobile friendly. The nice thing about OASIS is it knows exactly what device that you're on, and it'll adjust the screen accordingly. So it knows that you're on a desktop or a tablet or even a cell phone. It can go down to small size cell phones and still be user friendly, still with all the functionality of the full desktop site. So, a different view here. This is the back door of the OASIS system. This is what we're using in Human Resources. And also built-in statistics on use of our job site. So, if I'm running specific recruitment campaigns, whether it be in the newspaper or online, I can see the viability of those at first glance. So, some of the other processes that have been streamlined. New jobs are automatically posted. In the past, this was a coordinated effort between Human Resources and IT. It could delay job postings onto our county website for up to several hours. HR is able to attach the job descriptions directly to the listing. Again, this eliminated a manual process where a position description was emailed to IT and then they would put that to the job site. Built-in application to send, basically the system has a built-in email system. So it's very easily sendable to multiple people in multiple departments with the job application. In the past, it relied on my personal user account to email an application or whoever was processing applications. Applicants can choose, this is a really neat function of the program, you can choose to have an email or a text message sent whenever their application is modified any sort of way by HR, whether it's rejected, whether it's accepted, whether or not there's any updates that need to be processed to it. You get a text message. Also, you can get an email or text message whenever new job openings come up. By department, you can select which departments that you're interested in seeing those job applications and get a text message about 6 o'clock every night for any new job postings made. So, OASIS isn't it is not an outside third-party system. It's tailor-made by Shawnee County IT for Shawnee County. It was built in approximately 6 months It started in March of this year, and we rolled it out mid-September. It basically was built at a cost of just the labor hours that our IT department invested into it. About 2,200 labor hours going into not only the coding and development of the OASIS program, but also learning the new technologies that would apply to other developments coming in the future. OASIS is not a one and done. It's designed to be scalable. Projected life is 10 to 15 years. It's not tied to a single operating system such as Windows or Mac. It's designed to be browser, housed in a browser. And basically, the biggest point is because it was built in Shawnee County for Shawnee County, we own the code. We don't have to depend on anybody outside of Shawnee County to make updates. In fact, system updates, Seam and team have made them as quickly as 2 hours for me for little things that I've seen, where they've went back, retooled the code, reprocessed it. And then all of these methods that OASIS has tied together, these can be used for other systems rolling out with IT in the future. So I invite everybody, go to snco.us jobs. That is our job site, and take a look at OASIS for yourself. I open up for any questions.
Commissioners, questions?
Yeah, Mike, summer jobs, summer employment, will they be going through this?
Summer employment will be posted to this, and in fact, this system makes it even nicer for summer employment because we are able to pinpoint specific supervisors to send the apps to, where in the past, the apps have went to a central person at Parks and Rec and then been disseminated from there.
Okay, great. That's a good deal. And congratulations, Pat and Asim.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where
They're in the back.
They're in the back.
Of course, in the back. But great work. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Archer?
Yeah, it really looks great. Not only is it a good opportunity to apply for a job, but it gives a good impression of Shawnee County when you log on to the website. So I like that too. Good job, well done. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Absolutely. I might add, Pat and Hasim, good job, good work. This is another accomplishment by the IT. You might remember of the Awesome Queue system that the Treasurer's Office relies on, and we were able to market that to several other counties that also purchased our Awesome Queue and then used that for their own online ticketing system for the Treasurer's Office and renewals. And so maybe, Pat, we might have another product to market to. So good job, and congratulations to your team. And thank you to the IT and HR for all of this hard work. This was a well-needed update.
Oh, God.
We appreciate it also.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are a number of items on consent, 12 items to be specific. Are there any questions?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $2,462,621.52. Pooled cash has most of that in payroll, $597,620.23. We also have health insurance, and that is $306,193.30. We have under sales tax, which is the pass-through for the East Topeka Learning Center. No, actually, it's for Expo Center, HVAC, $29,322. And then we also have solid waste, $111,240.64. Again, that's an enterprise fund. And then if there are no questions, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
There are no correction orders today.
All right. Our next item.
Item B, Human Resources number 1, presentation of the proposed Civil Service Board rules and regulations by Aaron Mays, chairperson of the Civil Service Board, and consider approval of resolution number 2018-53, adopting the rules and regulations.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Augustine, Shawnee County Human Resources, and also on behalf of the Civil Service Board, I'd like to introduce Aaron May, Chairman of the Civil Service Board, to present the Civil Service Rules and Regulations. This is work that has been in progress for some time, and we are happy to present them to the BCC for approval today.
Thank you, Michael. Commissioners, I appreciate you having me in today. My name is Aaron Mays. I'm the newly elected chairman of the Civil Service Board. My tenure with the Civil Service Board started about a year ago, and so we started working on these rules pretty much immediately, and as I understand it, they have been working on them for several years before that. The last time these rules were updated was in 2008. So it's been over 10 years now since they've been updated. A lot of the changes that you'll see in here, primarily in Section 6, are going to be changes that were meant to mirror language that's in the union contract. Some of the changes that we've made, and I'll go through this just kind of on a high level. In Section 4, a lot of it having to do with promotions, exams, interviews. The Civil Service Board, when I had joined, had not conducted interviews on a regular basis, and there was quite a bit of a backlog. And so the new language in Section 4201 requires the Civil Service Board to hold interviews at least twice a year, and it outlines when those need to be held. It also, shortly thereafter, I don't remember which section, requires us to certify the new promotion lists within 2 weeks of when those interviews are conducted. It adds military service to the point schedule. Basically, there's up to 15 points can be gained in there, and it used to be that it was not included at all, but it counts it the same as education. Although if somebody does have higher ed and military experience, they can't stack them. They're basically put in there at the same level, up to 15 points total. It's an aggregate. We removed service evaluations from the point totals. Those were viewed by all parties to be considered maybe a little bit too subjective, and so they were taken out, and then we added the time and grade as well, up to 5 points. So that it changed the scoring, went from 75 points down to 65 possible points. We've also changed on here the ranking on the promotion list. So there was conflicting language in the previous rules. At one point it said that people needed to be ranked alphabetically, and at another point it said they needed to be rated based on their composite scores. So we've removed the alphabetical listing, and so they're ranked based on their scoring on the list now. I don't know how detailed you want me to go into this. I can, I mean, I can keep going for a while. We also made a change to allow the sheriff's office to post, if there are multiple positions open of the same rank, they can be posted simultaneously. That would allow additional people to apply. So if there's 2 positions, he can apply, he can accept 5 interviews for the first position and 1 additional for the second. And that just eliminates redundancy. Trying to think what else we've got here. Section 6 is most of the language that was put in to mirror the union contract, a lot of it having to do with maximum accrued leave payout, overtime, vacation time, personal days for perfect attendance, the type of weapon that's issued, firearm upon retirement, benefits paid to immediate family members of a fallen officer, things like that. I think that's really, as I said, a high-level overview. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. If I can't answer them, I'll defer to the county counselor, who's also pretty well versed in this.
So as part of the development, there was input from HR, the counselor's office, the sheriff's office, and the Fraternal Order of Police and other bargaining units?
Yes, yeah. So we sat down on multiple occasions with I think everybody, all parties, the sheriff's office, the command staff, the members of the civil service, the county counselor's office, HR. It's been a real team effort to get these updated. And hopefully, we did a good enough job they don't need to be updated for another 10 years.
Okay. And I think it's just important to note this wasn't created in a vacuum. There was a lot of input from other individuals.
Well, good point. The other members of the Civil Service Board are?
Newly appointed Matthew McGivern, he's been on for, I think, maybe a month.
Okay.
And then Gary Ross, who's been on the Civil Service Board for years and years.
Well, I think the reason it took so long is because there's been a number of changes in HR. There's been a number of changes on the board. And as you mentioned, all the parties involved, so complex, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of instability in the Civil Service Board over the last few years, and so I think we finally got a pretty good crew put together, a good nucleus to make sure we can make some good decisions.
Exactly. Thank you.
Commissioner Archer, any other comments?
I think the biggest improvement is the mandatory interview scheduling, because I'd heard nothing but complaints about that, and I'm glad that you added that in. Good job, Councilman.
Thank you.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Motion to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Archer,
I'll second, but my thanks to the entire Civil Service Board as well.
second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Our next item.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for a dedicated outdoor air system for the Adult Detention Center Annex funded with the Capital Outlay Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eve Kendall, Department of Corrections. Last year, when we were going through, I think it was November, December, we went through our capital outlay plan and what we thought we might need. And this year, one of the things that was approved was the dedicated outdoor air system, which is pretty much known as an HVAC system for our annex. It's roughly 10 years old. It's starting to have wear and tear to where it's costing us more to maintain than we think that it needs to, so we're requesting to go out for bid to see what it would cost to get a new one. It was approved for capital outlay last year. With the weather changing and all, we think that we're at a good point to where we can get this done and not cause a whole lot of trouble as far as trying to keep it too hot or too cold in the building right now. So we're seeking your approval for bids, and I'm here for any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item D, Emergency Management. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 335-2018 with the Kansas Department of Emergency Management, awarding a fiscal year 2019 hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant in the amount of $25,900 to Shawnee County as part of the Project Hyde Park Corner.
Morning, Commissioners. Nelson Castile, Emergency Management. This is hopefully the last contract we'll have to approve on this. In the spring, we had submitted a change to the scope of work with KDM, Kansas Department of Emergency Management, and they said, yes, let's just modify that and put it under the fiscal 18 grant contract. They since changed their mind and said, let's do it under 19. So this is the 19 contract for the commodity flow study that we had got permission to implement back last spring.
Any questions for Nelson? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much, Nelson.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item E, Information Technology. Number 1, consider approval of request to negotiate a 3- to 5-year contract with Kansas Fiber Network to provide the county with an additional 1 gigabyte internet connection.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat O'Blainer with the Information Technology Department. We recently asked for permission to do an RFP for a 1 gigabit per second connection to the internet for use as an internet connection for the county. We've had a lot of difficulty in the past with our slow network speeds, and this would address those quite handily. We did receive 6 responses to our RFP, all very good responses. Very much detail was provided in those. It was a bit of a task to go through and compare and contrast and analyze those responses. We did do a real thorough review of those and landed on Kansas Fiber Network as the entity that would provide the best value to the county and in terms of price and service and support. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
And Pat, you did discuss this during the budget process. I mean, this was something that we've identified as a need for the county, and just as the departments expand and more use of the internet. So, have any questions? Are there any other questions from the commissioners?
I'll move to approve the request.
A second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider authorization to add additional wireless service to the existing government contract pricing with Verizon Wireless for monthly cellular service for 11 iPads to allow implementation of point-of-sale systems in order to accept credit card transactions at all locations at the additional cost of $5,281.32 annually from the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation operating budget.
Good morning, Commissioner. Sean Osborne, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is we have some of these in operation right now, but we'd like to add to this because some of our locations we don't have the capability to take credit cards, so this would be able to tap into other revenue sources that we haven't been able to in years past with utilizing this system. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Motion.
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Thanks.
Item F2, consider approval of request for a project budget in the amount of $53,251 with $46,041 from the Capital Maintenance 3R Fund and $7,210 from the operating budget for deferred maintenance at the Ruger Complex to include replacement of safety netting over the playground, replacement of drinking fountain, power washing and painting of a building, repair and replacement of gates with more efficient units, installation of a maintenance shelter over existing storage, and replacement of grass concourse area behind all fields with concrete.
Morning, Commissioners. Darren Tolan, Parks and Rec Sports Division. Before you have a project budget for Rieger Park for some deferred maintenance issues. The park was built in 1998-99, serves well over 1,000 games a year for adult softball. Excuse me. We see over 200,000 visitors throughout the park throughout the year. There's roughly 6 projects in the deferred maintenance, fixing some erosion issues with some concrete, building a lean-to for our supplies, addressing some safety issues with the netting over the playground, and then we also have a long-range goal with the concrete and shelter to last a long time. So I'll stand for any questions that you have.
We recently approved other expenditures for the Ruger Park. They involved some of the field leveling
Correct.
and maintenance of the field, and noted at the time that it had not had any updates since the consolidation and for many years before the consolidation of the city and the county parks and recreation. How does that differ from this? I mean, those were...
The 94,000 was for the fields. That gets us up to championship play, moves the infield back, moves the bases back. That's the inside the field. That gets us to that level. This is the stuff outside the field.
Okay. What other expenditures do we anticipate for Ruger Park after this?
Following our five-year plan for all of our complexes, we will need to see some improvements in the retaining wall and some other stuff, but other than that, it's just routine maintenance and wear and tear.
Commissioners, other questions?
For the public, where is Rieger Park located?
It is at 2801 Southwest Kansas, which is right behind the Armory off of
Okay.
Kansas Street.
Okay, thank you.
It's our premier, or really our biggest playing for adult softball of all our complexes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll
Move
move.
approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item F3, consider approval of request for a project budget in the amount of $51,655 for painting at the Shawnee North Family Aquatic Center and the Rossville Pool with funding from the Capital Maintenance 3R Fund.
I'm trying to find the presentation. So. Right there. Okay, David Alaker, Shawnee County Parks and Rec. What we're trying to do is part of the master plan was to get everything as a standard. When we built a Midwest Health Aquatic Center in 2016, we noticed that the slide towers were painted. They had a powder coat on them, which helped with oxidation, longevity of the towers. We decided to do a pilot program at Blaisdell Aquatic Center. This is the family slide before and after. You saw a lot of the oxidation before we painted. There's a severe, there's a lot of steps to get to the actual painting process itself. They do put a preventive rust preventer on it before the coats. They do primer. This just adds night and day to the facility because you're looking at an old, looks like the dilapidated slide structure, and then once you put a paint on it, it actually adds a lot to it. I wanted to make sure that it would handle the elements of a pool. We're talking sun, we're talking chemicals, we're talking kids going up and down, and it did. It lasted the longevity of the whole summer. It will decrease the oxidation, which will increase the longevity of the towers, and obviously there's noticeable results. The Blaisdell Pool, the other two towers were approved by you earlier this year, part of the renovations. I just kind of want to show you what they look like. I want to add the other towers that are not already painted. We want to request for RFP for everything. That way we get better pricing. Schedule for these two towers are 2018, 2019. I know 18 is coming to an end quick, but if we have a few days, they can knock it out within a week. Shawnee North Family Aquatic Center, again, we want to make this our standard. We have two towers up there. It's showing a lot of oxidation on the flow tubes going up and some of the towers as well underneath where you can't see in these pictures. Scheduled for those is 2019, 2020. Rossville Pool is on the last on the list for three reasons. One, it shows less oxidation on the towers. Two, I do have some more shade structures going in next spring. And I also have a basketball goal that will withstand kids slamming on it and has more longevity on it. And this kind of gives you an idea, old tower versus painted tower at the Blaisdell Aquatic Center. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, and thank you for your consideration.
Anticipated cost for the updates and renovations?
Estimated cost around $51,000 for all those, and this is just a guess. The small slide tower that we just finished was around $8,600, and I tried to adjust the prices on that aspect of it. Nobody will give me a bid until we are serious about it.
Okay. Outside of the visual appearance, how does this expand the lifespan of the product?
The oxidation, it starts deteriorating the tower, either underneath with all the water, the chemicals. You can start seeing metal flakes come off. The metal, it's just like a bridge. If that oxidation happens, it'll eventually fail, and this will prevent that and make it more longevity.
Okay. Other questions?
Do you paint the surface of it too, or is it just so going up the steps and that sort of thing is the whole thing, or is it just the tower?
No, it's the tower, it's the steps as well.
Okay.
They go underneath, they go, our runs are like a fiberboard or plastic. The rises they will paint.
Okay.
So we don't take that out, but everything else is painted from underneath.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next item.
Item G, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of a request for an emergency purchase for hot mix asphalt concrete material from Ham Inc. at a cost of $42,255.03 for a county in-house mill and overlay project on Southwest Auburn Road needing to be completed due to safety concerns.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Flanagan, Public Works. As Ms. Beck said, we had a project to mill and overlay Southwest Auburn Road between 61st and 69th. We had the project milled, and we were ready for asphalt. We got notified by our vendor, Bettis Asphalt, that they couldn't provide the asphalt when we needed it due to other work commitments. And with that, we had a bad weather forecast coming in as a couple of weeks ago. Cold weather, rain. We needed to get that surface covered up as soon as possible before we had safety conditions and deterioration of the existing roadbed. So I made the decision to go to Ham and see if they could provide us with the asphalt. They could, they did, and we were able to get the project completed. It's interesting that we let an annual asphalt contract every year, and we did that in April of this year. Bettis was the low bidder, but Ham also bid the project. He was the second bidder, but his bid was not low. He didn't get awarded the contract. So again, I made the decision to go ahead and go with Ham. And to give you an idea of the difference, if we would have used Bettis, we would have paid $39,189 for asphalt. By going with Ham, we paid $42,255. It was a difference. We paid an additional $3,065 to get the project done, get the road back open. We'll be paying it out of the Public Works operating budget. We would request that this emergency purchase be approved.
Tom, walk me through here for just a minute so that we make sure that I'm completely familiar with this and the public is as well. What was our contract with Bettis for?
It was for, to supply us with asphalt, bulk asphalt we call it, and we do that annually. We bid out about 8,000 tons of asphalt, and they were the low bid, and Ham also submitted a bid, but they were second low.
And so this is a guarantee that we would have asphalt as needed from Bettis.
That's correct, but I read through the contract documents that were read, but it didn't specifically say that if we demanded the asphalt, they had to provide it. If they had another situation that was going on, I couldn't read in the contract where they couldn't just tell us, well, we can get to you, but it might be a week and a half away.
That might be something that we need to have our county councilor add to future contracts to alleviate this issue.
I agree with that.
Okay. Questions? All right. I'll move for approval given the emergency circumstances of weather and need to replace that hot mix asphalt.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Our next item.
Item H, Health Department. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 336-2018 with the Kansas Department of Health and Environment for grant funding in an amount of $1,212,071 for the Women, Infant, and Children WIC program in Shawnee, Waubonsee, and Osage counties, and included in the allocation is $28,420 to support the Breastfeeding Peer Counselor program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carrie Dels with the Health Department. Before you this morning is the annual renewal of our contract with KDHE to support the WIC program. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions regarding the annual contract?
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H2, consider authorization and execution of contract C 337-2018 with Waubonsee County to provide WIC services in Waubonsee County with grant funding from KDHE of $6,294.
Carrie Delphs again with the Health Department. This allows us to provide WIC services in Waubonsee County.
Any questions regarding this?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H3, consider authorization and execution of contract C-338-2018 with Osage County to provide WIC services in Osage County with the grant funding from KDHE of $25,966.
Again, this contract allows us to provide WIC services in Osage County. Move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item I, Sheriff's Office. Number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the purchase of 4 Whelen Carbide Liberty Duo Light and Siren packages for Chevy Tahoes at a cost of $19,500 with funding from budget funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Major Jason Mack, the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office needs to install lighting packages on the 4 recently purchased Chevy Tahoes off the 2018 state contract.
Any questions?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence.
Second.
Motion to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item J, Facilities Maintenance. Number 1, consider approval of change order number 1 by addendum to contract C-198-2018 with McElroy's, Inc. for the replacement of one of the Expo Center's heating system expansion tanks, which was discovered to be faulty during the setup and testing of the new boiler system, resulting in an additional cost of $4,752, bringing the contract total to $458,752.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This item was presented to me by HTK as they move forward with the Expo Center renovations. The boilers are up and running at the Expo Center. Kellen's here, and I know he's happy about that. One of the things that they found when they tested that and started it up was the expansion tanks, which allow the heated water someplace to go instead of blowing out pipes and couplings, was faulty and leaking, so McElroy's went ahead and got it replaced, and that's what this change order is about.
Bill, what was the original estimate for the work to be done?
For the heating plant was $454,000. This takes it to $458,752.
But, I mean, are we still under what the original estimate was?
I believe so, on the heating side.
Yeah, I see Zach nodding his head, so
Yeah.
just to make sure that we are still under what our original estimate
Yeah, on the
was.
heating side. HVAC, Zach and I think Betty are going to come up and talk about that
Okay.
when we get to the next item, but
Any other questions?
No.
I'll move them for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item J2, consider approval of change orders 4, 6, 7, and 8 by addendum to contract C-131-2018 with Central Mechanical Construction, Inc. for additional work necessary to complete the HVAC replacement and improvements at the Kansas Expo Center at an additional cost of $30,605, bringing the contract total to $680,305.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. These items are on the HVAC side at the Expo Center, more air conditioning than the heat. There were several items that did come up during the replacement of the 3 large air handling units on the roof. There was additional steel that was needed to support the new units. And whenever you do renovations, you run into surprises. And some of the surprises were smoke detectors, fire sprinkler lines, things like that that were in the way that would have to be moved that added to the project total. I know there's 8. The systems are up and running. Everything is fine now, and this did increase the overall cost of the project. You approved some change orders earlier. These amount to, I believe it's $3,834.44 of additional funds that you hadn't approved yet. It does take the whole heating and air project well over $1 million, but the Expo Center should be good for another 20-25 years. And I know Betty wanted to speak a little bit about this as well. And Zach's here to answer any other questions we might have.
I just wanted to kind of take you through the change orders and the costs on this because it's a little confusing when you look at it. First of all, I thought I would just, if you have in front of you the list of the change orders from HTK, you will notice, first of all, that there is not a change order number 3 or a change order number 5 listed. Well, change order number 3 was for the Manor part of the project, and that was actually, you had already approved that back in June 28th. Now, if you also look, there is not a number 5. As I understand it, there was an issue that was being tracked for a change order on that, but it was resolved and it resulted in no additional cost. So that's why there is not a number 5 also. Also, one other somewhat confusing item was back in June, you had approved change orders 1 through 4. And as I said before, number 3 was for Manor. The other ones were for the Expo Center. Number 4 that you approved back in June was a preliminary number of $11,175.56. That change order was split into 2. So it was split into change order number 4 and change order number 6. Those two now total $12,293. So if you subtract what you had already approved, we're asking you to approve an additional $1,117.44 because those are final numbers on that. So as Bill said, what you're being asked to approve today is an additional $3,834.44 to the project, which will make the total change orders for the Expo HVAC project total the $30,605. So since there's been some change orders and the memo listed all of them, I kind of wanted to take you through that. Zach is here with any additional questions that you might have.
Any questions for Bill, Betty, or Zach?
Thank you, Betty.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion moved for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item K, Administrative Services. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for fuel cards and delivered fuel pricing.
Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. As the clerk just read, we are asking for permission to go out for bid for fuel cards and for fuel for all of our departments. We are currently operating on a very old contract with Capital City Oil. We had a meeting with all of the departments that use fuel or fuel cards in the county, and from that meeting, a subcommittee was formed of the departments that use the most fuel to work with Michelle and my office to create an RFP for this. We are hoping that by combining all of this and by sending out to the vendors the total amount of gallons of gasoline that we use, that we will get a better price. So as you can see, our fuel consumption as a county for the year 2017 was 330,697 gallons of gasoline and 9,083 gallons of diesel. So we go through a lot of fuel, and we're hoping this will give us a better price. So I'm requesting that we be able to go out for bid for this.
Any motion?
Yes. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item K2, update on revenue and expenditures.
Okay, Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services, and here with our September 30 financial overview for the county. And this is for the general fund. I will start with revenue. Through September 30, our revenue that we had received was $98,382,458. You will see that the budgeted revenue we had for that same period of time was $98,339,789. So we are within $42,000 of what we had budgeted. In fact, $42,000 over what we had budgeted, which is about as close as you can get. That is, as I always tell you, my percentages, that is 0.04%. So we are right on budget there. Helps if you turn it on. Maybe not. Okay, I'll start out with property taxes. We've received $97,440,052. That is $469,000 under what I had budgeted for that time period. So it looks like our delinquent taxes have gone up a little bit this year. We had a pretty steady decline in that, and it looks like that may have reversed a little bit this year. But as we will see, we have other areas that have excess revenue that have offset this. The next area is other tax revenue. We've received $13,314,551. That is actually $219,000 over our budget, and those excesses come from motor vehicle, alcohol tax, and our highway tax. Next area is property-related fees. We've received $1,313,392. Those are all unregistered deeds fees. Those are that is $107,000 over budget. Next category is charges for services. We received $3,520,273. That is $377,000 under budget. That is from two major sources. Parks and Rec is actually under budget, but DOC, Department of Corrections, is over budget. So the offset of those two is a net of, we're under budget $377,000. But as we go on to the expense side, you'll see that Parks and Rec expenditures are also under budget, so those kind of will offset each other in the total of the general fund. And our last revenue category is other revenue. We've received $3,794,191. That is $562,000 over budget, and that's mostly in investment income and penalties and interest. This is our pie chart showing that 78% of our revenue came from property taxes, 23%, I'm sorry, that's 13% from other taxes, property-related fees 1%, charges for services of 4%, and other revenue of 4%. Next, we will go on to our expenditures. Our expenditures for the year through September 30th were $78,047,444. That is $796,000 under budget. This chart just shows the different expenses in the different categories and how those make up the total. The budget variance of $796,000 under budget is 0.76%, so about 0.75%. Law enforcement is our first category. We've spent $34,008,265. That is over budget by $177,000, and that is all attributable to Department of Corrections. And some of that is a timing issue, and some of it is health. They have had a lot of health costs so far this year. We are working with them, and we will not end the year over budget in that. And some of it is a timing issue also. But As of September 30, they were over budget $177,000, but we will make sure that that does not happen at the end of the year. I will mention that we have spent $1,810,000 more this year than the prior year in this category. So as we all know, law enforcement expenses have gone up significantly. Public health, we've spent $7,863,591, and that is right on budget. Administrative services, we've spent $9,183,182. That is $593,000 under budget. A big portion of that is from the contingency that luckily that we have not had to spend this year. Other than that, it is spread among all of the departments. Public Works, we spent $6,846,476. That is $56,000 under budget, and that is mostly from the appraiser's office. I will mention, even though we have spent $6,800,000, this amount does not include the sales tax money that we spend that's from a separate fund, as well as any federal or state dollars that we spend. Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center, we've spent $11,442,030. That is $319,000 under budget. That's primarily all from Parks and Rec, and as I mentioned, their revenue is also down. And then our last category is debt service. We spent $8,703,901, and that is $3,900 under budget. So here's the chart that shows the different categories, and I think this chart, more than any, really shows how much more we spend in the category of law enforcement. And our pie chart shows that 43% of all of our expenditures year-to-date has been in the area of law enforcement. Public health, 10%, admin services, 12%, public works, 9%, parks, recreation, and expo, 15%, and debt service, 11%. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Betty? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Betty.
Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any department head or member of the public to address the commission on any item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Inspector of Venue Management in the Kansas Expo Center. As you know, we announced and went on sale with Cirque du Soleil last week. That is off to a phenomenal start. We also will announce and go on pre-sale for another family show tomorrow. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. It'll be all over the news media. So we will announce that officially on Thursday here at Commission. But also wanted to give an update on Pilots hockey. Returned over the weekend, had a great couple games. Friday's attendance was up over 25%, and Saturday's attendance was up over 50% on attendance numbers for the year. So a great second home week stand. We've got them back in the building for 2 more weekends coming up here over the next couple weeks. So come get some hockey in.
All right, great.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Major Jason Mecca, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I just, on behalf of the command staff and the bargaining unit members at the Sheriff's Office, thank you for the approval of the Civil Service Board rules and regs. I would like to give special kudos, though, to the HR team, the Human Resources Department at Shawnee County, Ms. Angela Lewis and Mr. Mike Augustine, has spent an inordinate amount of time trying to solidify the functionality of this board. Without them, we couldn't have done this. And also special thanks to Mr. Aaron Mays, Mr. Gary Ross, and Mr. Matthew McGivern. Their engagement and responsiveness, decisive action has really shown in this. So thank you, Mr. Jim Crowell as well, putting this all together. A truly collaborative effort. So once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to HR and IT. They presented their new system this morning, and I want to give you some immediate feedback. In my 6 years of tenure as a treasurer, typically it takes 2 to 3 months to get an applicant for interview. I have 2 openings in my department. I have 5 interviews tomorrow, less than a week and a half after I submitted the application. So we went from 2 to 3 months to less than 2 weeks, and I have to say thank you. And I think you've set a standard that it's going to be hard to keep up with, but thank you.
Thank you. Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Archer, any thoughts?
A few. That sounded like a satisfied customer. And yes, well done. Well done, HR. I did have the opportunity to go to the intercity visit last week. We went to Chattanooga, and Morgan Chilson from the Capital Journal was there, and she's going to write stories, from what I understand, more about the meeting. I'm going to ask Matt Provarnik to also come and present on the intercity visit. But just briefly, because I don't have much voice left, it was well attended. There were 62 elected officials and business leaders in the community that attended. The mayor was there. There were probably 5 or 6 city council persons there. It was well attended. They have a lot of the same problems that we do, like skilled workers, for example. They have, Volkswagen has a big plant there, and they employ about 3,500 people. They need to hire an additional 1,500 people in the next year. And at Volkswagen, it takes 3 years before you're considered competent to do a job there. Amazing. So skilled workers, young professionals, keeping them in Chattanooga. It sounds like a lot of times what happens in Topeka, we just don't get them back. We had a long discussion about inclusion and diversity. They have a nice downtown. They have a nice ballpark. Commissioner Cook would have been in seventh heaven there. They've got a beautiful riverfront. It's just a nice area. They have a huge challenge, and that is to increase personal income of their residents in Chattanooga. A staggering statistic that they said that hit me is that the poverty rate in Chattanooga is 40%. 40%. So it was a great trip. I learned a lot. Again, look for articles by Morgan. I want Matt to come and talk to us. But if you have individual questions and I've got enough voice, please come and see me and be glad to discuss it with you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Bueller.
Just want to say congratulations to Olivia Mayer. I didn't know if John was going to say anything or not. She was elected to statewide office as president of the Kansas Recreation and Park Association. So congratulations to her. That's exciting, a rising star. And just to let the commissioners know, I have a conference I will be attending on Thursday, and I will not be in attendance.
Okay.
Good.
I might note that I had the opportunity to attend the KAC conference. Ms. Beck was also there. The main topic of discussion was mental health and how we address mental health issues in our counties. This was not just a county-wide issue for Shawnee County or the city of Topeka. This is a statewide issue, and we see it impacting the entire state of Kansas and how the state responds to mental health. And so hopefully we were able to collaborate and see some voices being heard, seeing this being addressed on a statewide issue. Also, I might note, we are aware that with the shutting down of the Tecumseh power plant, this will have an impact on its appraisal. And the appraiser's office is working on that. That will have an impact on our local townships. And so we look forward to any discussion that may have with that. I know this is very preliminary, but these are all impacts that impact us on a local level and a county-wide issue. And finally, the counselor's office continues to work on the development of the East Topeka Learning Center. And as the chair of the commission and as chair of JADO, this is something that we're watching very closely and holding the accountability to the bond agents for Hartford, that they get a general contractor picked shortly, that we hope that they have swift action on this, as it could result in additional liquidated damages and impact for the East Topeka Learning Center. So I hope that the message is heard to Hartford, that we are watching very closely your actions. I have nothing further. Our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is not a need for an executive session. We are adjourned.
So good meeting.
Very good.
All right. Are you all folks up for the year?
So did you pick up the...
I don't.
Oh, yeah?